Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Banaz Mansouri, and I'm a senior attorney with the Unemployment Law Project. The Unemployment Law Project has been around since 1984. We are the only freestanding legal aid office in the country solely dedicated to unemployment. The Unemployment Law Project provides free advice and counsel and free legal representation to people in Washington state who have been denied unemployment benefits or whose award of benefits is being challenged. Thank you for joining us today for our weekly webinar, which occurs every Monday at noon. The purpose of today's webinar is to share the latest news on unemployment benefits and to answer your commonly asked questions. I'd like to introduce our speakers from the Unemployment Law Project, Executive Director John Tierpak and Staff Attorney and Policy Director Ann Paxton. I will now turn it over to Ann to get us started.
Thank you, Banaz, and welcome to our weekly webinar. Starting out today, we have a brand new notice from the governor that we should mention because it will have significant implications for unemployment among masses of other things. Most people know that yesterday Governor Inslee announced a major escalation in lockdown for the state for about a month. So restaurants, sadly, we will not be able to eat in restaurants for a while unless we're eating outdoors in the cold. So what does that mean? From today until December 14th, this stage of lockdown will be underway. And for the Employment Security Department, which came out actually with a press release within a very few minutes of this announcement, the department is stressing that it is going to be working hard to make sure people can get their benefits as quickly as possible. And one of the major issues that's being they're trying to produce more explanation on is the issue of restarting your claim. According to the department, restarting a claim, if you open one within the last year, is easier than initiating a new one. So they're trying to encourage restarting of claims where that can be done and where it's helpful. So they say they're equipping claimants to restart or initiate a claim on their own without having to call us. They've updated the website, they're posting on social media, and directly contacting claimants with instructions on how to restart or create a claim from scratch. They're conducting webinars, and they say they have dramatically increased their capacity and operations team. By the way, their phone system has, starting today, returned to an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. schedule. They're also bringing back substantial support team members to their phone systems, and they're expanding their ability to deal with claimants, help to assist claimants who have limited English proficiency. So this is happening in the context of really a very sudden spike in claims the first week of November. Compared to the last week of October, in fact, Washingtonians, the first week of November, filed 25,000 initial regular unemployment claims, 71% increase over the prior week. So that is kind of a straw in the wind for what is going to happen soon, because layoffs are accelerating, and because basically 100,000 restaurant workers in the state, among many other hospitality industry workers, stand to be laid off. So there should be another surge in initial applications, which are already over 200% higher than they were last year. So this first week of November actually was the largest weekly increase in initial regular claims since March 21st, which everyone probably remembers that was one of the very early signs of a surge in unemployment. In addition, the initial claims for pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, which is the 13 weeks that was added to regular benefits under the CARES Act, those have also sharply increased. In other news, the state has extended the job search suspension and the waiting week for unemployment benefits. That is the first week that you normally have to wait after you apply, until job search requirements suspended through December 7th, and the waiting week is suspended until December 12th. So go to my page here. So this is all part of the important context is that the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, those will be expiring by December 26th, that week. So be aware that if you are receiving benefits relating to self-employment, your work as a gig worker, the fact that your children's school is closed or daycare because of COVID, or if you have very little work history and were able to get PUA, all of that is technically coming to an end December 26th as of now. There is a chance that there would be an extension of those programs, which has been pushed hard by ESD has been supporting an extension of the programs, among others. And there is a bill pending in the House of Representatives called the HEROES Act, which is being modified, but basically would extend the assistance that's already been there, in addition to having a supplemental income such as similar to what the PUC $600 supplied. So that is on hold right now. We don't exactly know what's going to happen to it. People have been very confused by the quote potential new claims notice that's been on ESD's website. What this is about is basically it's relating to a crackdown by the Federal Department of Labor to make sure that people are in regular benefits if they possibly can be. Only if they're denied regular benefits can they receive the federal program PUA. So some people will be moving back to unemployment regular benefits, UI, from PUA. That will make them potentially qualify for extended benefits, which they would not qualify for under PUA. So that's one good thing, but it's creating a lot of confusion. In some cases, people would go from regular benefits to PUA. That's probably happening less, but this is all due to the federal crackdown to make sure that the people are in the right benefit category. If you're receiving regular benefits, you'll be in a better position at the end of the year. Because you will be, if you continue to claim, you will be automatically transitioned into the extended benefits program. So how this works is extended benefits is 20 extra weeks that can be added to regular UI. As long as you could receive, but initially you would want to receive the PEUC, that is the federal program, which is 13 weeks. If that's as long as that's available till December 26th. After December 26th, that is if you're getting regular benefits. After December 26th, the ESD will transition you to extended benefits. So that works out to be paid 50% by the feds and 50% by the state. But right now, until the end of the year, it's funded 100% by the federal government. So extended benefits will still be around, even if the federal government only supplies half the money. That will still continue, but PUA will not continue. That is under current circumstances, and PEUC will also expire. The important thing to know, though, is the claimant who is on PEUC during the week ending December 26th will automatically shift to extended benefits the following week, even if they haven't claim the full 13 weeks of PEUC. These requirements, these programs are so complicated to follow, but that is where it stands on extended benefits. And we've been very concerned at ULP about the surge in overpayments. We're hearing a lot from claimants that people are receiving notices sort of out of the blue. There's supposedly accompanied by some kind of explanation separately about why the claimant is receiving an overpayment. That is money that they have to pay back because it wasn't given to them correctly, or there was some error on their application, or any number of reasons. So these are very alarming to people, and they're not very clear as to the reason for the overpayment, because it doesn't seem to be in the same notice. It may be something on people's e-services that explains it, but it doesn't appear that people are having very good luck finding that. So we found that if you go to the Facebook support page for Washington unemployment, you'll see if someone puts in who else got a massive overpayment notice this morning, that is going to get a lot of comments from people saying, yeah, they have, that me too. And they're very confused, and the notices are very unexplainable to a lot of claimants, and frankly leaving a lot of despair. So you see a lot of press accounts about this in coming weeks. It's all been exacerbated, of course, by the fact that the website has been prone to crashing and to timeouts that have really frustrated people, because when you get an overpayment notice, it will say you have 5 days. If you're on e-services, you have 5 days to respond, or you might have 10 days if you're not on e-services, but you have to get back promptly. If you don't, then you get slammed with a notice and demand for money. So instead of that, what's happening is people are, and apparently people who have Apple computers in some cases, or maybe people who are just people who are using Safari. It's not clear, but they are finding their computers are crashing, or they're timing out while they're trying to answer the questions for the overpayment. So of course, this is adding to their frustration and desperation in some cases. And they've been, because they've been unable to answer the questions, and then they find they get hammered for that. There was one comment on the Facebook site that I wanted to read, because I thought it really summed up what's going on out there in terms of facts on the ground. Yesterday, I sort of cracked and started crying. I looked at the very strange life I was leading, that we're all leading. Even though it seems I should be calm, I am not. There is waking up every morning to see if there's a letter from UI telling me they made a mistake and I owe them $6,000. There's the worry that when I go to the store, I might catch COVID. Worry that I'm too old to get a job when I finish my worker retraining. Worry that I can't finish my homework for the worker retraining. Worry that when I retire, I won't have enough money even to live. So I just wanted everyone to know that I feel for you. I'm posting this here just so you know that none of this is right or normal. Life right now is totally foreign, strange, and bizarre. And I think most of us can at least identify to some extent with that. Avoid appeals. We have also heard on the Facebook page, there's been advice from a number of people that you should not appeal. Now, we really strongly believe that this is not true. It's very important to appeal if you have a decision or determination from the Employment Security Department, because there's a deadline for appealing. You have 30 days after the date of the notice of the determination or the decision. So what the advice from some people has been, well, I fixed my problem by getting on the phone, talking to a phone agent, and they fixed it in 1 day. It was really easy. That may apply to certain instances, but not the majority of the cases that we hear about. They're not fixable in a very quick way. And in many cases, the agents may say they can fix it, but it doesn't necessarily get fixed right away. So we have been advising people, if you are in this situation, that you should go ahead and try the telephone. If you can get through, great. If it also you find an agent who is able to help you, that's great too. But don't lose your appeal rights, because it's very hard to file an appeal and have to also establish good cause for filing a late appeal. So you don't want to add that to your challenges when you're appealing something. The other advantage of filing appeal is that you can call, if you have an overpayment, you can call ESD collections and ask them to hold off on overpayment notices and demands for money while your appeal is pending. So that is a significant advantage. You shouldn't give up trying on the phone as much as you can, but you should also not beware of giving up your appeal rights.
I'd like to add about asking them to hold off on collections. The department within ESD that does collections is called Benefit Payment Control. And if you go to the website under Contact Us and for the unemployed worker, you'll find them. And there's an email as well as a phone number. And we've heard that in many cases, you can get them to hold off on collections. One person told me that originally when they called, they had a person who was a bit hostile. They called back on another day, and the person was friendly and helped them. So I just want to share that with you. And that would be good to at least hold off on collections.
Yes, very, very good advice. The agents are often bracing themselves for people who are really frustrated, hostile, and going to say nasty things. So if you can find it in your heart to be polite and appreciative toward them, it has helped a lot of people have better success rates when they're trying to get problems ironed out. So the last thing I wanted to mention is that ULP has been very concerned about the confusing nature of a lot of the applications for PUA, a lot of the questions on the applications for PUA and on the ongoing PUA weekly claims. These can be read, you can read them over and over and just be very confused about what you should be answering. And then of course the consequences of having a wrong answer can be steep. So we've started doing some public service announcement type things through PDFs and through some videos, thanks to one of our interns and one of our staff attorney, Lavina Staton. So I'm going to show you just briefly her Lavina's new video on a chronic issue, which has been the PEUC distraction on applications for PUA. People in many cases haven't been able to reach the part of the website application that allows them to apply for PUA, and they can't figure it out because they're being asked if they want to apply for PEUC after they've been denied regular benefits, which doesn't make sense. So Lavina has a very good and very accessible explanation of what is going on there, and I wanted to play that for you.
Oh, hi there. Are you struggling to apply for pandemic unemployment assistance in Washington state? If yes, you've probably noticed a software bug is preventing a lot of people from applying for PUA. I'm an attorney at the Unemployment Law Project, and I can help you work through that bug. And first things first, although you must apply for regular unemployment benefits first, doing so does not automatically make you considered for PUA. And second, PUA is only available through the end of this year. After applying for and being denied unemployment benefits, an option to apply for PUA should pop up. Instead, a lot of people are given the option to apply for PEUC, which doesn't make sense. It's a totally different benefit. To get around this glitch, you have to proceed as if you are going to apply for PEUC. Then you'll get a very ominous warning that it'll reset your claim date if you continue. It won't, it's fine, continue. Then refresh the browser. Then the option to apply for PUA should appear in your alert. Let me know if this was helpful. Like and follow for more information. Last reminder that this video is for people who live in Washington state.
Thank you, Lavina. We actually have more exciting videos coming up. She's got one that's already on our website. It's on the Facebook page for ULP, and it's on the very difficult question of, are you available for work, which can be very tricky to answer, because what it essentially means is not, are you available to work? That is, are you physically able to accept a job offer? But it means, would you be available to work if it were not for COVID? So it's one of those difficult to construe questions, and I think she's got a really good answer to it. And we'll have more of those coming. So that's it for now.
I'd like to just add a couple things, just the whole political situation regarding whether Congress in Washington, D.C. will pass something. Will they pass something before the end of the year or in January? It's clear they will at some point have to pass something. I've been reading different things on different sources, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. One thing I was reminded of over the weekend was that back in the Great Recession, about 10 years ago, 2009, there was a stimulus package passed, and at the time, it was very politically difficult because there's always a debate, as you know, with political things. That some people think it's too much, or some people think it's too little, but eventually they worked out a compromise, and the administration, the incoming Obama administration, was able to get a few moderate Republicans to sign on to the relief package back in 2009. So history might repeat itself there if the US Senate remains Republican controlled. There may be a few members who would sign on to a package. So again, feel free to contact your senators and representatives about these issues. Also, ULP, we're expecting, because of the new layoffs coming with the partial shutdowns, that or shutdowns or partial shutdowns, that there will be more calls to ULP. We're already getting many hundreds of calls. So if you have particular problems reaching us, you know, you can, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Feel free to send an email individually, and then I can either handle it or assign it to someone on our staff. We do try to help everyone, you know, everyone or as many people as possible, but I expect there to be an increase of calls in the coming weeks.
Great, thank you, John, and thank you, Anne, and thank you, Lavina, for that really great video. Let's jump right into our questions. We have a few in the Q&A box, and to all our participants, please enter your questions in the Q&A box and we will aim to answer them here. If your question is very specific to your individual circumstance, I will provide you an email of a ULP staffer and we will work with you directly after the webinar. Okay, and let's talk about an offer of work. Is an offer of work the same as a job offer? Is it required to be in writing? And can we please explain the specific circumstances? I'm sorry, specific requirements.
So the requirement, in order to be available to work as part of a package, you have to be willing to accept suitable work. That is work in line with your experience, your qualifications, and your education. So you don't have to accept any job that comes along. But you do have to be able to defend yourself if you decline work, because that is one of the questions you're asked on the application. I don't believe it has to be in writing except under certain circumstances. John, do you want to comment on that?
I mean, job offers can be verbal, but I think the problem a lot of people I've talked to get into is what's really an offer. For example, if you're talking to someone and they say, hey, I hear that they're hiring somewhere about something. That's not an offer, that's just an announcement. Or if somebody asked you, you know, I know you're a lawyer, but we have some paralegal jobs available. Would you be interested in applying? That's not an offer. Or even if they said, if somebody knew you were a lawyer and they, you know, offered you a paralegal job, but that's not a suitable offer because, you know, or if you were a doctor and they offered you a job as a nurse, you know, so it's important to, as far as unemployment goes, you know, think about, you know, whether it's very specific, whether it's verbal, or does the person have the power to do it? Because we see a lot of cases where somebody's, you know, trying to be helpful and they think they have an opportunity to help somebody get hired and they really have no power in the situation. And so it's not really an offer. So in the unemployment context, you know, careful and just be aware, don't apply for work you don't want or can't do, unsuitable, or then if you refuse, it's okay if it's unsuitable, but you can avoid it by not applying. But again, bottom line, offers don't have to be in writing.
Great, thank you. If someone is in a training program for starting a new business and they are not generating any income from it, is there a time when unemployment runs out?
So I think, would this be the self-employment assistance plan, John? I'm not sure about this, starting a new business. I don't know much about that.
It's hard to tell because this could be a regular claim, it could be a PRA claim, it could be something else. I mean, to be very general, you're qualified if you still are in the conditions that allowed the claim to begin with, or some variation of, meaning you are either underemployed or unemployed. And the claim hasn't run out yet, because these claims can be limited to certain numbers of weeks, and there are extensions. So if you're providing accurate information and the situation's the same, because things can change week by week. This is, I mean, it sounds funny to say this, but what if somebody gave you a job for 1 week and you made $50,000 in 1 week? Well, that's amazing, and you would report that you made $50,000. You would not get unemployment that week. But if next week, honestly, if you were not working and unemployed, you could claim and answer the questions correctly and get a benefit for that following week.
Great information, thank you. If a claimant selects federal tax to be paid when receiving their weekly payments, if the claimant has to then pay back the amount, does the claimant pay the full amount back and then the federal tax is paid later? Or how is that?
Okay.
Tax?
This is a question we've had for all time. It has come up because many people opt, I'll just sort of give a bigger answer for the whole group, that many people opt to have taxes taken out of their unemployment. Now, in the pre-Reagan era, unemployment income was not taxable. I think we should go back to that. But anyway, in the post-Reagan era, unemployment benefits became taxable as earned income is taxable. So if you opt to have them take out a percentage to pay your taxes, just like you would at a regular job, just so you're not hit with a giant tax bill at the end of the year that you can't pay. But with an overpayment, though, by the time the overpayment's been assessed and you're paying it back, that money has already gone to the IRS. And I've talked to people about this, and there's no mechanism that I'm aware of to get ESD to get it back from the IRS, or give it back to you, or, there's no mechanism for that. But it all works out in the end, because if you had a $5,000 overpayment and $1,000 went towards taxes, then next April, when you file your taxes, you have a form that says, these taxes are paid. So you will either have lower taxes to pay in April, or you will get a bigger refund, depending on your individual situation. But yeah, pay back the full amount. It sounds terrible, but in the end, you get that money, that is calculated.
Right, thank you, John. We have a participant who has an appeal hearing tomorrow. They, question is, do present federal and state laws absolutely prevent a Washington resident with a Washington employer but assigned to work in Oregon from receiving PUA from Washington? The premise is, since they are not entitled to UI, and the states and federal government are paying to help residents through crisis, and they've been displaced because of COVID, can they legitimately use this argument in their appeal hearing? Now, I did provide my work email to speak with this individual later, but do we have any insight for them?
It's not clear why the person would not qualify for UI. Maybe because of the circumstances, or if it's a COVID-related reason. If the person is, Colleen, okay, so if Colleen is qualifying for PUA, yeah, I'd have to look at this. I'd have to look at the details of the appeal.
Yeah, honestly, these interstate issues have been most confusing. A lot of people say, well, I'm told to apply in this state or the other state. And I've talked to people who've gotten things resolved in other states and then not needing any kind of Washington claim. It's a bit of a jumble right now. I would just encourage you to, maybe we can work with you individually to see if it can be sorted out somehow.
Great, I did send her my email. We have a participant whose husband was collecting UI. The claim was reduced and now ESD has stopped paying altogether. No indication why. There's reason to believe that he should be on PUA since he was an Uber driver, and they have sent messages to ESD but have not heard anything yet. What would we advise?
Also, the Employment Security Department has been in a little bit of transition this year because in the past, gig workers haven't necessarily been able to qualify for benefits, Uber drivers, for example. But this year, we're seeing the state define Uber, a lot of gig workers, Uber and Lyft drivers for one, as employees. So they can qualify in many instances for regular benefits rather than PUA. So that's just to give, that's just background on what what the person's husband might qualify for. But if you have not heard anything back from the Employment Security Department from you sending your messages, that can be very frustrating. We usually recommend that you get in touch with your legislator, and you can just go find your legislator. I think we have that link somewhere. Maybe Benos can put it up. It's very easy to find your state legislator, and they have been responsive. Can't guarantee that they will respond to your individual issue, but we've heard from many claimants who have gotten some action on their claim that way.
And also you can write and call the governor's office as well as contacting our office. I put my email in the chat too to see. Sometimes there's a reasonable explanation. Sometimes it's just a glitch. You know, we've heard many different things, but it's good to deal with it in a timely way, to not, you know, wait too long to get it resolved. The problem with a lot of these type of problems is during sort of regular times of unemployment, you would probably get a notice saying you're denied for a specific reason, and then be able to request a hearing and get a hearing a few weeks later and get it resolved one way or the other. Now we've been for months getting calls of just the people being cut off for mysterious reasons. Maybe there were messages that were sent that were not received. Maybe there was a denial letter that went out with the right to appeal that was somehow missed. These are all possibilities.
Great, thank you. I have provided the District Finder link and also a link to the governor's office. Both of those are in the chat.
Thanks,
Has
Brenda.
anyone successfully won their appeals for overpayment? Do I have to worry about paying it back? That's a question.
No. First answer is definitely worry about paying it back. That's not something you can dismiss. However, about a week ago, I was trying to come up with examples for a lot of press inquiries we're getting. They want to talk to claimants who are getting these overpayment notices. By the way, let us know if you are willing to talk to the press, because most people can be hesitant. So I looked at our files, and it turned out most of the people that we had been in touch with, they were our clients, and we had actually been successful. In almost, in most of the cases, we had been successful in getting their overpayment waived or resolving the issue that had caused the overpayment. So people do win, but it's not necessarily common. Washington only grants about 3% of waivers that are requested, which is a very low rate compared to a lot of other states. So definitely can't dismiss it.
And it's sort of complicated by the individual cases, and to not, you know, complicate it further with giving a list of a dozen examples, I'll just say, for example, some cases at the hearing, you can prove that you are actually eligible to get the benefit, that it was yours under the rules. Another time, sometimes there's this idea of waiver that it was somehow not your fault and it would be a hardship to repay. But then there's other overpayments that get thrown out for more technical reasons, like the notice wasn't proper or it wasn't sent in a timely manner. Again, it gets very technical because there's different types of overpayments and different rules for different types of overpayments that I could bore you for an hour or more. But the point is, it's good to fight, because Ann mentioned this earlier and it's worth repeating. It's hard if you wait months and then decide to appeal, then you have to justify why it's late. And some judges can be harsh on that. So it's better to, even if you think it's getting resolved, request that hearing, because if it's resolved by the time your hearing date comes up, you can always just tell the judge it's been fixed. And sometimes, by the way, when it's fixed, it's not fixed 100%. We've had winning cases at hearings where we thought we had everything taken care of, and then it turned out there was something or part of it wasn't. So it's good to keep your rights, and requesting a hearing is easy and it's free, and there's no penalty for withdrawing it, or if you don't need it, there's no fee or penalty.
Great, thank you. We have one more question in the chat box, so if anyone has any additional questions, please drop them in there. We have an attendee who has been collecting benefits unrelated to COVID. Their unemployment is unrelated to COVID. They restarted a 2019 claim in the spring of 2020. The original claim had nothing to do with COVID and still had several weeks of benefits available, which have now been extended. They recently received the new potential new claim alert that led them to a link to apply for a PUA claim. They answered all the eligibility questions no, but the website still took them to a question about when they became unemployed due to COVID. They don't know how to answer this since they are not unemployed due to COVID. They simply did not submit the application. Is there anything else that they should have done?
Yeah, these somewhat glitches or just inconsistencies in the website have been kind of chronic. It sounds, but the whole concept of a potential new claim means that they're probably trying to cover as many bases as they can with one single kind of set of possibilities that may not apply to everybody. Mm-hmm. That's all I can guess. If you didn't submit the application because you don't qualify, I would guess you wouldn't be penalized for that. But you can also try. This is not something that always works, but you can try calling to say that you're and telling them you're confused about it. If you can get through on the phone, they are doing some callbacks now, so the phone service has improved to a degree, and there are more hours available during the day when they're open.
Yes, and I would say, in addition to that, Anne, I would send ESD a message through your secure services account and alert them as to what's the next best step forward. And looks like the participant is saying they grabbed a screenshot in case the issue causes a denial letter. And I think that was a very smart move. Yeah. But send a message and then also try their phone lines. Those would be good opportunities to try to get an answer directly from ESD. Okay, if there's no other questions in the box, we'll wait one more minute or so to see if anyone else has any other updates or questions that we can help answer.
While we're waiting, I just want to say, looking back on the year, the amount of support we've gotten from the public with our work has been tremendous, and it's enabled us to hire more people and to do more, and it's still not enough, but I just want to, because I've been thinking about this today, just to thank everybody for the support, and also ask for their patience, that if you are trying to contact us and it takes a while to get back, be persistent and just be aware that there are many, many people needing help. So.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any additional questions in the chat box. I do see a number of expressions of gratitude, and I'll echo what John said. Thank you also for participating. These webinars are only successful for the people who participate and provide the questions for us to answer, and we certainly appreciate your participation. We wish you all a great week. Stay indoors, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.